reading the 5th chapter of the first book of the Left Behind series, Left Behind, on page 77. Buck Williams dug into a stall in the PanCon Club men's room to double-check his inventory. Tucked into a special pouch inside his jeans, he carried thousands of dollars worth of traveler's checks, redeemable into dollars, marks, or yen. His one leather bag contained 2 charges of clothes, his laptop, cellular phone, tape recorder, accessories, toiletries, and some serious insulated winter gear. He had packed for a 10-day trip to Britain when he left New York 3 days before the apocalyptic disappearances. His practice overseas was to do his own laundry in the sink and let it dry a whole day, while wearing one outfit, having one more in reserve. That way he was never burdened with lots of luggage. Buck got out of his way to stop at Chicago first to mend fences with the Global Weekly's bureau chief there, a 50-ish black woman named Lucinda Washington. He had gone crossways with her. What else was new when he scooped her staff on, of all things, a sports story that was right under their noses. An aging Bears legend finally found enough partners to help him buy a professional football team, and Buck had somehow sniffed it out, tracked him down, got the story, and run with it. I admire you, Cameron. Lucinda Washington had said, characteristically refusing to use his nickname. I always have as irritating as you can be, but at the very least you should have done was let me know. And let you assign somebody who should have been on top of this anyway. Sports isn't even your gig, Cameron. After doing the Newsmaker of the Year and covering the defeat on Russia by Israel, or I should say by God himself, how can you even get interested in penny stuff like this? You Ivy League types aren't supposed to like anything but lacrosse and rugby, are you? This is bigger than a sports story, Lucy. And hey, sorry, Lucinda. It wasn't just a bit of stereotyping. Lacrosse and rugby, they had shared a laugh. I'm not even saying you should have told me that you were in town, she had said. All I'm saying is, at least let me know before the piece runs of the weekly. My people and I were embarrassed enough to get beat like that, especially by legendary Cameron Williams, but for it to be that's why you squealed on me? Lucinda had laughed again. That's why I told Plango to take face-to-face to get you back in my good graces. And what would you think I'd care about that? Because you love me, she had said. You can't help yourself, Bucket smiled. But Cameron, if I catch you in my town again on the beat without my knowledge, I'm going to whip your tail. Well, I'll tell you what, Lucinda. Let me give you a lead I don't have time to follow up on. I happen to know that the NFL franchise purchase is not going to go through after all. The money was shaky and the league's going to reject the offer. Your local legend is going to be embarrassed. Lucinda had begun scribbling furiously. You're not serious, she had said, reaching for her phone. No, I'm not. But it was sure fun to see you swing into action. You creep, she had said. Anybody else I'd be throwing out of here on his can. But you love me. You can't help yourself. That wasn't even Christian, she had said. Don't start with that again. Come on, Cameron. You know you got your mind right when you saw what God did for Israel. Granted, but don't start calling me a Christian. These as much as I'll cop to. Stay in town long enough to come to my church, and God will get you. He's already got me, Lucinda, but Jesus is another thing. The Israelites hate Jesus, but look at what God did for them. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Yeah, I know. Anyway, I'm going to London Monday, working on a hot tip from a friend there. Yeah, what? Not in your life. You don't even know each other that well yet. She had laughed, and they had parted with a friendly embrace. That had been 3 days ago. Bucket boarded the ill-fated flight to London prepared for anything. He was following a trip from a former Princeton classmate, a Welshman who had been working in the London financial district since graduate school. Dirk Byrne had been a reliable source in the past, tipping off Buck about secret high-level meetings among international financiers. For years, Buck had been slightly amused at Dirk's tendency to buy into conspiracy theories. Let me get this straight, Buck had asked him once. You think these guys are the real-world leaders, right? I wouldn't go that far, Cam, Dirk had said. All I know is they're big, they're private, and after they meet, major things happen. So you think they'll get world leaders elected, handpicked dictators, that kind of thing? I don't belong to the conspiracy book club, if that's what you mean. They're ready to get the stuff, Dirk. Come on, you're a relatively sophisticated guy. Power brokers behind the scenes, movers and shakers who control the money. All I know is the London Exchange, the Tokyo Exchange, the New York Exchange. We all basically driven until these guys meet. These things happen. You mean like when the New York Stock Exchange has a blip because some presidential decision or some vote of Congress is really because of your secret group. No, but that's a perfect example. So if there's a blip in your market because of your president's health, imagine what it'll do what it does to the world markets and the real money people get together. How does the market know they're meeting? I thought you were the only one who knew. Cam, be serious. Okay, not a lot of people agree with me, but then I don't say this just anyone. One of our mucky mucks is part of this group. When they have a meeting, no, nothing happens right away. But a few days later, a week changes occur. Like what? You're going to call me crazy, but a friend of mine is related to a girl who works for the secretary of our guy in this group, and whoa, hold it, what's the trail here? Maybe the connection is a little remote, but you know, the old guy secretary is not going to say anything. Anyway, the scuttlebutt is that this guy is real hot on getting the whole world onto one currency. You know, half our time is spent on exchange rates and all that. Takes computers forever to constantly readjust every day based on the whims of the markets. Buck's not convinced. One global currency never happened, he had said. How can you finally say that? Too bizarre, too impractical. Look at what happened in the States when they tried to bring in the metric system. Should have happened. You Yanks are such rubes. Measures only necessary for international trade, not how far it is to the outfield walled Yankee Stadium or how many kilometers it is from Indianapolis to Atlanta. I know, Cam, your people thought you'd be paving the way for communists to take over if you made maps and distance markers very easy for them to read. And where are your commies now? Bucket passed off most of Dirk Burns' ideas until a few years later when Dirk had called him in the middle of in the night. Cameron, he had said, unaware of the nickname bestowed by his friends, colleagues, I can't talk long. You can observe this, or you can just watch it happen and wish it had been your story. Well, remember that stuff I was saying about the one world currency? Yeah, I'm still dubious. Fine, but I'm telling you, the word here is that for a guy who pushed the idea at the last meeting of these secret financiers, something's brewing. What's brewing? What's brewing? There's going to be a major United States monetary conference. The topic is going to be streamlining currency. Big deal. It is a big deal, Cameron. Our guy got shot down. He, of course, is pushing world currency to become pound sterling. What a surprise that won't happen. Look at your economy. But listen, the big news, if you can believe any luck out of the secret meeting, is they have it down to 3 currencies for the entire world, not hoping just to go to just one inside a decade. No way, it won't happen. Cameron, if my information is correct, the digital stage is a done deal. The UN conference is for just a window dressing. It's just window dressing, and the decision has already been made by our secret puppeteers. That's right. I don't know, Dirk. You're a buddy, but I think you would rather be doing what I'm doing. Who wouldn't? Well, that's true. I sure wouldn't want to be doing what you're doing. But I'm not wrong, Cameron. Test my information. How? I'll predict what's going to come out of the UN within 2 weeks, and if I'm right, you can start treating me with a little difference and a little respect. But really, he and Dirk is sparring the way everyone at Bernstein enduring during weekend pizza and beer bashes in the dorms. Dirk, listen, that sounds interesting and I'm listening, but you do know, don't you, all kidding aside, I wouldn't think of any less than even your way off base here? Well, thanks, Cam, really. That means a lot to me. If that little tidbit, I'm going to give you a bonus. Not only going to tell you the UN resolution is going to be for dollars, marks, and without 5 years, I'm also going to tell you the real power behind the power is an American. What do you mean the power behind the power? Vice in the secret group of international money men. This guy runs the group, or in other words, he was the one who shot down sterling as one of the currencies and as dollars in mind for the one world commodity in the end. I'm listening. Jonathan Stonegal. Bucket hoped Dirk would name someone ludicrously so he could burst into laughter, but if he had to admit, if he only to himself that if there was anything to this, Stonegal would be a logical choice. One of the richest men in the world, along as an American power broker, Stonegal would have to be involved if some serious global finance was being discussed. Though he was already in his 80s and appeared in firm in new photos, he not only owned the biggest banks and financial institutions in the United States, but he also owned or had interests in the same throughout the world. Though Dirk was a friend, Bucket felt the need to play him along a bit to keep him eager to provide information. Dirk, I'm going back to bed. I appreciate all this and find it very interesting. I'm going to see what comes out of this UN deal. I'm also going to see if I can trace the movements of Jonathan Stonegal. If it happens the way you think, you'll be my best informant. Maybe I'll see if you can find out for me how many are in the secret group and where they meet. That's easy, Dirk had said. There are at least 10, though maybe more than some has come to the meetings, including some heads of state, U.S. presidents, occasionally, believe it or not. That's some of this conspiracy theories here, Dirk. That doesn't mean it isn't true. And they should meet in France. I don't know why. Some kind of private chatlet or something that gives them a sense of security. But nothing escapes your friend or relative or subordinate or secretary or whatever. Laugh all you want, Cam. Our guy in the group, Jonathan Todd Cothran, may just not be as quite as buttoned down as the rest. Todd Cothran doesn't even run the London Exchange? That's the guy. Not buttoned down. How do you have the position not be? Unless I've heard of a Brit who is not buttoned down. It happens. Good night, Dirk. Of course, it's all proven correct. The U.S. made its resolution. Bucket discovered that Jonathan Donegal lived at the Plaza Hotel in New York during the 10 days of confab. Mr. Todd Cothran of London had been one of the more eloquent speakers, expressing such eagerness to see the matter that he volunteered to carry the torch back to the Prime Minister regarding Great Britain moving to the mark for the pound. Many third world countries fought the change, but within a few years, only the 3 currencies had swept the globe. Bucket told only Steve Plank of his tip on the UN meetings, but he didn't say where he'd gotten the information, and neither he nor Plank felt it worth the speculative article. Too risky, Steve had said. Soon they both wished they had run within in advance. He'd have become even more of a legend, Buck. Dirk and Buck had become closer than ever, and it wasn't usual for Buck to visit London on a short notice. If Dirk had a serious lead, Buck packed and went. His trips often turned to excursions to countries and climates that surprised him, thus he had packed the emergency gear. Now it appeared it was superfluous. He was stuck in Chicago after the most electrifying phenomenon in world history trying to get to New York. Despite the incredible capabilities of his laptop, there was still no substitute for the pocket notebook. Buck sketched a scribbled list of things to do before setting off again. Call Ken Ritz, charter pilot. Call Dad and Jeff. Call Hattie Durham with news of family. Call Lucinda Washington at a local hotel. Call Dirk Burton. The phone awakened Rayford Steele. He had not moved for hours. The early evening began to get dark. Hello, he said, unable to mask the sleepy huskiness in his voice. Captain Steele was the frantic voice of Hattie Durham. Yes, Hattie, you all right? I'm trying to reach you for hours. My phone was dead for the longest time, then everything was busy. I thought I was getting a ring on your phone, but you never answered. I don't know anything about my mother or sisters. What about you? Rayford sat up dizzy and disoriented. I got a message from Chloe, he said. I knew that, she said. You told me at O'Hare. Are your wife and son all right? No. No? Rayford was silent. What else was there to say? You know anything for sure? Hottie asked. I'm afraid I do, he said. Their bedclothes are here. Oh no, Rayford, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do? No thanks. Do you want some company? No thanks. I'm scared. So am I, Hottie. What are you going to do? Keep trying to get Chloe. Hope she can come home where I can get to her. Where is she? Stanford. Palo Alto. My people are in California too, Hottie said. They got all kinds of trouble out there, even worse than here. I imagine it's going to be because of the time difference, Rayford said. More people on the roads, that sort of thing. I'm scared to death of what's coming to my family. Let me know what you find out, Hottie, okay? That will be, you're supposed to call me, because my phone was dead, and I couldn't get through to you. I wish I could say I tried to call you, Hottie, but I didn't. This is hard for me. Let me know if you need me, Rayford. You know, just someone to talk to or be with. I will. And let me know what you find out about your family. He almost wished he hadn't added that. Losing his wife and child made him realize what a vapid relationship he had with pursuing a 27-year-old woman. He hardly knew her, and he certainly didn't much care what happened to her family any more than he cared what he heard about a remote tragedy on the news. He knew Hottie was not a bad person. In fact, she was nice and friendly, but that was not why he had been interested in her. It had merely been a physical attraction, something he'd been smart enough or lucky enough or naive enough not to have acted upon. He felt guilty for having considered it, and now his own grief would liberate all but the most common courtesy of simply caring for a coworker. That's my call. There's my call waiting, she said. Can you hold? No, just go ahead and take it. I'll call you later. I'll call you later. I'll call you back, Rayford. Well, okay. Buck Williams had gotten back in line and gained access to a payphone. This time he wasn't trying to hook up his computer to it. He simply wanted to see how many personal calls he could make. He reached Ken Ritz's answering machine first. This is Ritz Charter Service. Here's a deal in light of the crisis. I got Learjets in both Palwaukee and Waukegan, but I lost my other flyer. I got to either airport, but I know they're not letting anyone into any of the major strips. Can't get to Milwaukee, O'Hare, Kennedy, Logan, National, Dulles, Dallas, Atlanta. I can get to some smaller outlying airports, but it's a seller's market. Sorry to be so opportunistic, but I'm asking $2 a mile, cash up front. If I can find someone who wants to come back from where you're going, I might be able to get you a little discount. I'm checking this tape tonight. We'll take off first thing in the morning. Longest trip with guaranteed cash gets me. If you stop us on the way, I'll try to squeeze you in. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you. That was a laugh. How would Ken Ritz get a hold of Buck? With the cellular phone unreliable, the only thing you could think of was to leave his New York voicemail number. Mr. Ritz, my name is Buck Williams, and I need to get as close to New York City as you can get me. I'll pay the full fare you're asking in traveler's checks, redeemable whatever currency you want. Sometimes this is attractive to private contractors because they kept up with the differences of currency and they can make it a little margin in the exchange. At O'Hare, we'll try to find a place to stay in the suburbs. Just to save you time, let me pick up somewhere between here and Waukegan. If I get a number in the meantime, I'll call it in. Meanwhile, you may leave a message for me at the following New York number. Folks not able to get through his office directly, but a voicemail number worked. He received his new messages, mostly of coworkers checking on him and lamenting the loss of mutual friends. And there was a welcome message from Marge Potter, who was going to think of leaving it there for him. Buck, if you get this, call your father in Tucson. You and your brother are together. I hate to tell you here, but they're having trouble reaching Jeff's wife and the kids. You should have news till that time you call. Your father was most grateful to hear that you were all right. Buck's voicemail also noted that he still had saved message. That was the one from Dirk Burden that had spared his trip in the first place. He needs to listen again anyway in time. Meanwhile, he left a message from Marge that if she had time and an open line, she needed to let Dirk know Buck's flight never made it to Heathrow, of course. But Dirk would know that by now. We need to know Buck wasn't among the missing and that he would get there and get there in due time. Buck hung up and dialed his father. This line was busy, not the same kind of tone that tells you the lines are down. The whole system is kaput. Neither was it that irritating record he had grown to so used to. He knew it would only be a matter of time before he could get through. Jeff was being beside himself, not knowing about his wife, Sharon and the kids. Their differences wasn't even separated before the children came along. Over several years, the marriage had been better. Jeff's wife had been proven forgiving and consolatory. Jeff himself admitted that he was positive that she would take him back. Call me undeserving, call me but grateful, he once told Buck. Their son and daughter, who both looked like Jeff, were precious. Buck pulled out the number the beautiful blonde flight attendant had given him and cast himself for not trying again to reach her earlier. It took a while for her to answer. Hi, Durham, this is Buck Williams. Who? Cameron Williams from the Global. Oh, yes, any news? Oh, yes, ma'am, good news. Oh, thank God, tell me. Someone from my office tells me they reached her mother and that she and her sisters are fine. Oh, thank you. I wonder why they haven't called here. Maybe they've tried, maybe my phone has been haywire. There are other problems in California, ma'am. Lines down, that kind of a thing. Maybe a while before you can talk to them. I know, I heard. Well, I sure appreciate this. How about you? Have you been able to reach your family? I got word that my dad and brother are okay. We still know about their sister-in-law and the kids. Oh, how old are kids? Can't remember, both under 10, but I don't know exactly. Oh, Hottie sounds sad, guarded. Why? Buck asked. Oh, nothing. It's just that what? You can't go by what I say. Tell me, Mr. Durham. We remember what I told you on the plane, and all the news looks like all the children are gone, even unborn ones. Yeah, I'm not saying it means your brother's children are. I know. I'm sorry I brought that up. Sorry I brought that up. No, it's okay. This is too strange, isn't it? Yeah, I just got off the phone with the captain who piloted the flight you were on. He lost his wife and son, but his daughter was okay. She's in California, too. How old is she? About 20, I guess. She's at Stanford. Oh, Mr. Williams, what did you call yourself? Buck. It's a nickname. Well, Buck, I know better to say what I said about your niece and nephew. Hope there are exceptions and yours are okay. She began to cry. Mrs. Durham, it's okay. You have to admit that no one is thinking about things straight right now. Okay, so that's the first part of Chapter 5 of the first book of the Left Behind series, Left Behind. Take care, everybody. Another video for my Storytime channel.